Hello and welcome to another episode of ResourceFULL. We're going backwards. We're going back to number 14, but we've got to do a second part to it because despite the fact he promised his wife he wouldn't spend time improving this website because things are busy at the moment, he couldn't resist. And I started seeing some of the things he was improving on the maths whiteboard, and he agreed to come and show us an update because of the situation we're all in. We've got to share this. So I welcome back to ResourceFULL Matt Woodfine, and we're going to find out about class share. So Matt, thank you for agreeing to do this again.
Thank you ever so much for having me.
No, not at all. I was really intrigued. I know I did an interview with Naomi as part of remote learning a few weeks ago, and we were talking about Pencilbox, and now I need to get rid of that because you've got rid of Pencilbox.
Yes, it was a really old project that was exciting at the time, and I think, you know, even prior to this video, we were sort of saying that in terms of Pencilbox, it will support some devices, but not all. And one of the things I'm very aware of is that for schools that have invested heavily in things like iPads or older devices, certain apps won't work on those anymore. So it needed a fresh update. It needed bringing into 2021, and obviously using some of the new technology that we have to hand now as developers. I can just make it a lot more exciting. And certainly having developed a question bank like the maths mini whiteboard tool, and combining the two is hopefully going to end up being an incredibly powerful tool for teachers and students.
So let's point out the fact that the premise of everything you want to do with Pencilbox is gone. It's a new name, but it's now usable on internet browsers. And so therefore it's going to keep on being used no matter the device, and hopefully going forward for a while.
Exactly. I mean, like I was saying just before the video, even these really old devices that people would often consider to be chopping boards now, it kind of makes those more useful again.
Well, your chopping boards are a lot more expensive than mine. Each to their own. Right, now, Matt, let's do a quick recap of the Maths Whiteboard site, but then look at the benefits of what you created, because what I like about what you've done and working with someone like you, it's a teacher who knows what is needed in the classroom, and so you then create the facilities that the teachers need. Often I think some people are using websites that aren't necessarily with teachers in mind, and so this is very much the activity of teaching and the interaction that we need. So I think I've given you, as it's almost those new sentences that everyone said since 2020. You're on mute, can't see you, and I think I've given you the option to share. So hopefully I've given you the option to share. And yeah, let's go and update a little bit on the Maths Whiteboard to remind people. Only a short update, of course, because we've done a previous video on that. And there it is on the bottom right, class share. So yeah, a bit of an update first, and then let's learn some new stuff. Brilliant.
Yeah, so obviously the homepage has changed, and it's simply because Pencilbox is no longer in this bottom right-hand corner, but we've still got the last lesson last week, last topic last term resource, which is very popular on the site in terms of starters. In terms of the Maths Whiteboard site, just as a quick revisit of it, we've got a full list of different topics that are searchable through the search tool at the top here. And we, as teachers, we've got a model exercise, which will basically take a particular topic and allow you to do a I do, you do exercise. And thank you ever so much for the click to reveal option that came out of the last meeting, which was absolutely brilliant. Simply because now I can actually structure the left-hand side how I want students to be able to do it, click to reveal, and then they can then have a go at it.
And obviously, they're paying attention to you when talking. They're not trying to do the you do. They have to watch you because they're not being distracted. It's a lovely addition. And what I like about you, Matt, as well, and I'll point this out again, I'm sure I'll say it later, you take suggestions. You think, oh, that'll be good. And you improve this continually, despite your wife's demands, but never mind. I'm not editing that.
Yeah, I will always say that one of the things that I will aim to do is actually respond to things quite quickly. So I think you posted it straight after the meeting or during the meeting, and then the very next day, this feature then became available. But obviously, as we've entered lockdown, and obviously everyone moving on to online teaching, one of the things I then wanted to do is actually still allow people to use the site. So one of the things I did produce in the top right-hand corner or in top left, depending on which button you want to select, you've got a print option, which will basically digitize and turn this into a PDF. And then obviously that allows you to print it out. So anyone that's using a visualizer can then basically replicate what they could see on screen there on an A4 page. But obviously my printing is limited in my house, so I needed a digital form of this. So this is where, you know, you were sort of very keen to start promoting Pencilbox in the last video, but I wasn't so keen because it was a really old app. And then when I started using Pencilbox at the start of this lockdown, I suddenly realized that I was doing a lot of preparation. I was having to copy and paste screens and put them into Pencilbox, and it became another admin thing that I didn't want to do anymore. So the toolbox then became alive, and this then allowed me to basically scribble on screen, which was brilliant because then it kind of removed that prep tool. I could then just carry on teaching, keep clicking refresh, and it would keep coming up with these brand new questions, whether it be with the text on or off the screen, depending on you know, what I was displaying. The Pencilbox is going to carry on growing. I mean, the other week I produced the straight line tool. There's going to be a text tool soon, a protractor and a pair of compasses as well, nice. Which is going to be great. So as soon as that's up and ready, that'll be great. We've then got the next one, which is the mini whiteboard tool, which obviously is our way of picking a question and actually having it full screen. So during lockdown, it's been nice because I've still been able to do those mini whiteboard activities. Right, here is a question, either put it into the chat section or using class share, we can then actually see pupil responses. Along the top here, you've also got the ability to make questions harder. So if students are finding it a little bit too easy, at least you can extend with your lesson, or obviously go backwards and keep consolidating particular skills. In the bottom right hand corner, you've got the option of doing a quick exercise as well, which is a great way of actually just showing some questions on screen there and then students can then be doing that and giving you a bit of a break if you're doing a lot of talking during your online lesson. We've got the recall activity as well, which basically takes each of those stars and then basically creates it as a grid. I use this generally as starters in a follow-up lesson as a great way of just sort of seeing what was the sticking point, at what point have they not been able to retain a particular knowledge or being able to apply it through problem solving. So like the 6-star questions, for example. Often prior to lockdown, we always had the issue of, oh, I've just had to remove such and such student because I wanted to be able to talk to them. And then, you know, you're asked to produce something on the spot that they could then do outside of the classroom. So I produced a worksheet generator to basically answer that question of, you know, someone walks in, I need something quick, rather than just handing them a pointer's textbook and saying, turn to page 46, it might not necessarily be relevant to what I'm doing in the class. At least the worksheet generator will, within 10 seconds, generate a unique worksheet for that one topic. And every time you click on that, it will generate a new question with new numbers, which is great for then homework and things like that. But obviously, we then get to the point of, there is always a limitation with any website that you want to be able to see what kids are doing, and you know, within a few weeks.
Biggest thing right now, isn't it? Absolutely. So I mean, you teased because you said about all these ideas, and then it's like you obviously are now giving us the opportunity to interact. So I'm excited by this.
So then enter class share. So basically with this, there's a few instructions there that you're more than welcome to just simply hide. There is a link at the top here, which basically outlines what link students are to go to. So you've got the copy a student link. Can click Control-C or Command-C, and then click OK. And then as soon as you post this into a site and a student signs in, their name then appears on the screen. So I'm running the student version off my iPad, and then basically, as you can see there, it gives you an idea as to how regularly it's updating. So generally
shall I sign in as well? Do you want to send that to me?
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Shall I press pause for a second so then get sent to me? So then it'll be a smooth transition. So get pause. Back in a second. And we're back, and I'm logged in on my mobile, so I can test this at the same time. So bring it on. What do we do? That was easy, by the way.
Okay, so at the moment, it will refresh every sort of 1 to sort of 3-4 seconds. So it's not a live link.
Every 3 or 4 seconds, Matt. That's terrible. This whole thing, I'm going home. This is just below my standards. No, go on, carry on.
I mean, one of the main reasons for not refreshing and making it too live is data usage. So I'm very aware that there are a lot of students at the moment who haven't got great Wi-Fi, or more importantly, don't have a huge data allowance. So the information being transferred between the teacher and the student is kept to an absolute minimum. And certainly you'll see by the quality of the images on the staff side that it's not bad, but you can tell that there is quite a lot of compression going on to reduce the information. So as a student, I have a range of tools, as much as what I had when it came to the toolbox in the mini whiteboard software. And as you can see here, if I click on my name, that's obviously what I've been starting to write on my iPad.
So you're logged in on your iPad as a student. You've got obviously the teacher view in front of us. I've got this here, so I can do this as well. I don't know how did that come up on screen, what I've just done, or? Well, there you go. Okay, bro.
So as you can tell, I mean, it's taken your tiny mobile screen and it's filled mine. So as you can see there is a few pixelations.
See, now I want to play just like every child. So this will remind us about discipline, but carry on. I won't do that again.
So obviously the nice thing is that along the top here, I've got the ability to share to all. And I found this quite interesting in that I can actually share some of the great model examples that kids have given me when it comes to a particular question that I may have posed. So I can actually sit here and view all the different answers that students are giving me, and then just pick on one person and either ask them to answer a particular question live on screen so that other people can then see it. Because obviously, like what I'm doing with Zoom at the moment, I can share this screen through Teams or Zoom and actually get the kids to draw.
So can I clarify something at this stage? Obviously, I'm using my touch mobile phone. Anyone who's got that kind of facility, otherwise they'd have to use their mouse, wouldn't they? But you're adding a text facility shortly. So all of these screens will either be text possible or write on possible, whatever your kind of device may be.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. What a quick,
easy
way of seeing everybody's whiteboard as well.
Yeah, and one thing I added in about midnight last night was this save tool. So one of the things I can do is, as I'm going through my lesson, any examples of some great work that I might want to pick up a bit later on, I can actually click on the little save tool, and as you can kind of see, it kind of disappears into the bottom right hand corner. And if I click on the folder in the bottom right hand corner, it gives me all the screenshots that I've taken throughout the lesson. So earlier on, while I was just prepping for this video, I took a snapshot, which was a model example that I did. But if I click on yours, I can then see your lovely picture. And that's actually saved in memory and is available for me to use as part of, say, a plenary, which I thought was a nice touch. But obviously, one of the things that is so essential is that this ties in with the mini whiteboard. I want to be able to send you some questions. So at the top here, we've got open mini whiteboard below. And then what I can do is I can still use exactly the same site that I demonstrated a second ago. In the bottom left, we've got the toolbox, but we've got a share option. So if I click on the share option, what it will do is it will take a screenshot of this, and there we go. It has been sent, and it should come through.
Indeed, it has.
To your device.
Oops. Oh, I started rubbing out my writing, and it's rubbed out that expand.
Yep. So what you can do is click on the bin tool, and then what it will do is it will remove everything but the background image.
I was worried I found a problem with the site then. I was like, so sorry. Okay, so it's still there. Brilliant. Okay, and so I can now see the expand. Now, I'm assuming, can I still see, because now as a pupil, I want to practice that, but I want to look at the previous example because you'd modeled one. So is there a way of me seeing the previous example whilst I do this?
So what I would probably do is if you wanted to do that and actually kind of structure it in such a way that you wanted to be able to see or send people the model example, I would actually use the example whiteboard, so that way you can actually show students the
so
answer on the
something like
left-hand side,
this. Okay, yeah, go on.
and then I can then send this to you.
Got it. Yeah, and so if you then click to reveal, which I'm assuming I can't do.
You can't, but if I just refresh this, it will come to you. You can then see anything that I've written on the left-hand side, and then your answer, your question will then appear on the right.
That's really powerful. There's the, I mean, that's the point of the I do, we do, and so on. So being able to have your example still on screen, and yes, obviously it takes up half my screen, but it's a powerful half. It's a shame that the answer obviously is completely wrong at the moment, and you're probably itching to finish it. But just being able to have that next to it, that's actually really important. And that's the point of the interaction of I do, we do. Certainly in the classroom, we're trying to recreate what we're doing in the remote classroom. They want to be the model, the solution. Okay, I'm looking at that. I'm going to be using that to answer my own question. Spot on. Love it.
I really do feel the need to actually just finish off this, so I don't leave a half-answered question now.
There is something about, and whenever I do teacher training, if you leave too many questions on the board, the teachers are doing this, answering the question. I was like, no, can we talk about the pedagogy? I want to answer the question. That's what teachers do. That's so cool that you can share that so quickly. Now, because you share, I'm imagining you can share all sorts of slides quickly on here then. Is it everything? Is it just the stuff within the slide, the site you can share, or can you share other things through your whiteboard portal, if you like? So if you had a slide from a PowerPoint, I'm just guessing
coming.
here.
Yeah, so at the moment it is restricted to only what is on the site. However, I'm going to make a slight adaptation to this later on, because one of the things I found is that rather than always having math whiteboard questions up, sometimes I just want to have like a plenary slide.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to create some blank templates, but also have an import feature as well. So as part of another project I was working on a few years ago, the ability to break up a PowerPoint and actually have them as pages within, say, a whiteboard site like this, that's definitely coming. Whether it appears, well, it depends when lockdown finishes.
Well, what you've done is amazing. Okay, sorry that I've thrown a question of an idea at you, and then certainly when I'm telling you off and you're getting told off at home as well, you don't need me throwing more ideas at you. But the fact that I could see because one of the teachers in my school, I know, is using I do, we do, and I hadn't quite seen how they're sharing everything together just like this. So this is great, and being able to, and even if it's just going on and using it as the whiteboard tool. Fantastic. Yeah, and you're absolutely right about the data. It's such a small consideration. I learned last week that if I'm sharing my visualizer, it uses more bandwidth, and so it'll be a lot more clunkier for the people watching. I had no idea of that. And it's little details like that where, I mean, each week when I get the message and the kids are saying to me, "Sir, you've gone slow, etc." And I'm thinking, well, it's not my end, it's not my fault. Actually, I can reduce the amount of bandwidth I'm sending. And I didn't know that, and I'm sure many people who are watching did and make me look stupid. But it's true. We're learning little things each week to make things better, because we don't know how long we're going to be here, let's be honest.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of tests on just how much data has been transferred, and I think I've got it. I could go obviously more extreme, but it would then affect the quality of the image then being produced, so that staff can analyze it. Yeah, so I mean, at the moment it's restricted to anything that's on the site, so I can send even this exercise to you, and then I've actually got an on-screen exercise. I've worked with people like Naomi, who had a rather than having like an Apple Pencil, she actually had like a Wacom tablet, I think it was.
Okay.
So it works with writing tablets as well. So even if you've not got a mouse, but you've got a pen tool and a tablet, then it still works just the same.
Could you just show us the teacher page again? Sorry, Matt, I keep talking over you. I just want to make sure though that because the teachers are going to be watching this. How did they get to that page to see? Okay, this is what this is how I'm managing the classroom.
So one thing I didn't necessarily mention was the fact that when I opened up the whiteboard tool, it actually opened up a window, and then it pushed all the student windows underneath that.
Okay.
So they're still accessible, and I can still click on them and share any exercises that I might have from that. Yeah, so the other option is I was working with Dean Hubbard, another maths teacher on Twitter, who said, well, look, I've got dual screen. Is there any way that I could have like the class board there, but then have the maths whiteboard here, so I can actually carry on writing, but then have what the students are doing on a separate screen? So that's why we've got then open MWB in a new tab. So it then allows you to drag and drop onto a second monitor and carry on working the way you do. Yeah, I mean, initially it was just such a simple tool, and it's getting more and more complex, but it's growing. I mentioned it on Twitter recently that it's growing as a result of all the little ideas that people have, and I'll just bring them to life, hopefully.
You have to look after yourself though, fella. Just as love is telling everybody at the moment, you know, we're working hard, and we're working harder than maybe we've ever worked before in some areas. Just look after yourself as well. But I will say thank you again for what you're doing here, because you've now got, I mean, I hadn't got the idea we do thing in my head yet, how I do it well. You've given me that so easily, and be able to use the same website as well. One website for this, one for something else, one for something else. It becomes quite frustrating how many tabs we'd have open. So it's so nice that that's on there. Is there anything else on here that we need to know is either coming or is here that you haven't told us? But it better not be a lot of effort if it's coming, because if so, then I'm going to, the wife's going to be in touch.
I'd just simply say, if there's anything coming, just take a look at the toolbox on the bottom left-hand corner. As far as the interface is concerned, the only thing that will become more visually complicated is what's in that toolbox. It may get a little bit longer, but yeah, I will try and keep things as simple as possible so that people can just sort of pick up, grab, collect, and start using, hopefully.
Do you know what? And you're using the word yourself, so clearly not going to take offense to this. It's great how simple it is. Okay, the fact you've kept it simple is a positive. And we're all trying different websites at the moment. I've had another one modeled me to this morning actually, and I'm worried about all its layers. I can get something very basic, very quick here. And again, I'm saying basic, the basic needs. You know, I'm quite aware that that can often be seen as a negative term, but in this instance, it's very much not. I need the basics of interaction. I need the basics of I do, we do. I need the basics of getting questions harder and multi-layered questions. Matt, you provided so much good stuff here. Thank you. It's awesome.
I mean, just one final thing is I'm no stranger to having a huge database of student information. That's the one thing that I didn't want out of this. I wanted people to be able to just share a link with students, for them to log in, and for you to have that instant flow at the beginning of a lesson. And that's what's so important about this. Yes, I think one of the downsides might be that you might have Mickey Mouse join your class. I
was really tempted, I'm not gonna lie. When I signed up, I was like,
But I have tried to also make sure that there are plenty of precautions about people trying to sign in with other people's names. So if another Tom M happened to join the class, it actually recognised that that person's already joined. And then hopefully through Teams or Zoom, however you're delivering your lesson, that conversation would come up, and then it would clearly identify that the work of that one Tom M who's now drawing something inappropriate isn't the actual Tom M trying to share.
I wouldn't draw anything inappropriate. How very dare you, Matt? That's what we're going to be dealing with in this situation, though. In my very first lesson ever in my first school, someone pretended their name was Jack Daniels. They all thought it was hilarious. What was actually the hilarious part was the person next to him was called Jack Daniels. And he was pretending to be it, but there we go. That was me trying to get my first job. I gave the kid its attention, and I think that got me the job, showing that I didn't take nothing from the kids. I don't take no. Yeah, I'm going to call it a day there. We're going to stop recording right there. But Matt, thank you for all of this. This is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to using it, and I will be doing next week. Absolutely, my lessons.
Cool.
Thank you, fella.
Thank you.